Okay, thank you for being here. We are used to live in a world that we think that we know what's going to happen today, what can happen next week. We see the Weather Channel, and we would like to have some predictability, so we would like to predict what's going to happen. But once in a while, things happen, especially if they're coming from outer space. For example, in 2013, a little piece of rock, well, little like this room, maybe 20 meters wide, just fell down on Russia, in a place in Russia, and destroy a lot of windows, injure a lot of people. We're going to be talking about that as well, because that is related somehow with Billy Meier. That is surprising, but Billy Meier predicted a long time ago. That little impact was predicted by him. I'm not sure if everybody here is familiar with Billy Meier. I am assuming you know a little bit about that. What I'm going to do in this presentation is to show you what we know about things that have been happening on the Earth in the past, and how we see them from the Billy Meier contact nodes point of view. So it's a very nice combination, because in some cases we are not really sure what happened, but Billy Meier case notes give us a lot of information that we are looking to see today. So I will be focused on three different aspects. The first one is talking about the destroyed comet. Actually, it is not a comet, was not, but it is because it's still there somewhere far away from the Earth, but it is a planet. It's bigger than the planet Earth, but behave like a comet. Also, we are going to talk about the Tunguska event. You are all familiar with that. That is happening in the 1908. And also Apophis, that is coming very soon. So we'll be talking about the past events and the future events. So it's an interesting combination to see what had happened in the past, so what could be our future. In our previous conversation, a week ago, we were talking a little bit about Apophis, what's going to happen, so probably we'll be talking about that again, right? So let's start. To start, I would like you to just remember how the solar system formed very quickly. It's important to understand that, because if we know that, we know how is the dynamic in a system like ours. Our solar system formed in around 5 billion years ago, 4.65 billion years, according to Billy Meier notes. It comes from a cloud. Imagine a cloud of a lot of atoms from helium, hydrogen, different kind of metals floating around, but they have mass, and because they have mass, they attract each other. So because of gravitational pulls, they try to get together. So the cloud starts to compress it. And as soon as it's compressing, it starts to rotating slowly in one direction. And it is forming little pieces, little planets, or protoplanets, so planets in formation. And they're combining together until a solar system is formed. Something that is happening and is normal in every solar system formation is that the rotation goes in one direction. So it's not possible that one area of the cloud, it's not logical, goes in the opposite direction. So if you see a planet today that is moving backwards, it's because something happened, right? So something happened, so we need to look at what happened. In some cases, we don't know the answer, what happened, but something happened. But the normal situation is everything is rotating in the same way. So until we form a solar system like this one. As part of the formation, there are some small bodies that are residuals of that formation. Some of them are the comets, mostly composed by water. Because it's frozen, it's ice. But as soon as you get closer to the sun, because of the heat and the solar wind, a big tail is formed. Those are the comets. Also, some asteroids are normal, because in the little pieces that are forming together, not all of them get part of planets. So they are isolated and they move around. But our solar system has some unique features, something that we think that is not logical is in a solar formation. One of the features is the asteroid belt. Okay, we may find asteroids in a solar formation, a solar system formation, but why all those pieces are in a band area where it is very clear that there is a missing planet? If you see the progression between the orbits of Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, and Jupiter, there's something in the middle that is missing. And what is there now is the asteroid belt. So some astronomers are thinking that there's a high probability that there was a planet there before. Billy Meier contacted us, tell us that there was actually a planet there. Not only that, also that the inhabitants of this planet destroyed it because they were having some wars, and some people don't like the other people, so they decided to do a big disaster. So they poured a lot of water from an ocean, they put it inside it, a magma chamber of a big volcano. What we did a great reaction on the planet and break it in different pieces. So these inhabitants destroyed that planet at that time. So that's an excellent explanation why the belt asteroids are in this area. If you see the progression of the distance between each planet to the sun, follow a mathematical pattern. It's called the Bode law. The Bode law is some mathematics that just found that progression, and he said that it was there present in the solar geometry, the solar system geometry. Also, Kepler noticed that if he used the solids, the trapezoids, the cubes, the six-size figure, and different, he said, sacred figures, three-dimensional figures, he could just follow the same progression. So there's some mathematics behind the solar system formation like ours. But this one, the asteroid belt, has to be caused by a destruction of a planet. It's not part of the original formation of the solar system. So that's unique about our solar system. Another uniqueness is that Uranus is completely tilted. So it starts the rotation in one direction, but start bending, twisting. So right now, the angle of rotation is not like the Earth, that is 23 degrees shift to the normal vertical position. That one is 97 degrees. Actually, it's moved to the other side. So in strict terms, Uranus is moving on the other direction, backward rotations. Also, Venus is retrograde. So it's not very clear why Venus is moving in the other direction. It's moving slowly, but it's moving backwards. Some astronomers try to explain maybe it's some kind of tide effects from the sun or something like that. And also, another mystery of Venus is that it has too many clouds. It's a very cloudy atmosphere. The atmosphere in Venus is so dense that if you are there and you can survive being there and you throw a rock, the rock don't go far away than 1 meter because it's so dense that looks like the bottom of the sea. And the pressure actually is 90 times higher than the pressure atmosphere that we have now. So everything there is crunched because of this high pressure. And you cannot see farther away than 20 meters because it's so dense, the atmosphere, and so hot that you cannot see anything. So why Venus has a lot of this dense atmosphere? If it is a planet that was formed very close to the sun, like Mercury. Mercury practically doesn't have any atmosphere because the solar winds put it away. But why didn't do the same thing with Venus? So this is another mystery. So we will be talking about that, having good explanation from the point of view of, or looking from the contact reports from Billy Meier case. Okay, let's start with the straight planet. A question here.
Before you carry on,
yes.
You mentioned, I missed the scientist's name, Vogt or Vogt's law?
Bode, B-O-D-E.
B-O?
B for boat,
yes.
O-D-E. It's called the Bode law. It's a progression, it's very simple. You put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, add the 1 plus the 2. I don't remember exactly what it was, but he noticed that the progression of the planets followed that law. Just you will find it with that name. Okay, thank you. You're welcome. Okay, destroyer planet. It's a comet or it's a planet? Let's suppose that we take the planet Earth and we put it away. What's going to happen if it's far away from the sun? Everything starts frozen. The ocean are frozen, so it will become an ice ball, big ice ball, right? Because everything is frozen. And if you put it in an orbit that is very long, like a long ellipse or a parabolic orbit, so as soon as there is getting closer to the sun, the water start to, the ice start to melt it, becoming water, and the water is becoming vapor or gas, and the sun wind just put it away. So it's behaving like a comet. So if you put a planet and you move it in a very long or elongated orbit, it's behaving like a comet. So it looks like a comet, but actually, because of the size, could be a big one like the Earth, is a planet, but in a very strange orbit. That's the destroyer planet. That used to be here for a long time. In some contact reports, Billy Meier contact reports, you can read them in the Future of Mankind website. It's a very interesting website. You can find most of the contact reports in English. You can read it, especially the 150 on October 10, 1981. Billy Meier is talking with Quetzal. Quetzal is an extraterrestrial from the Pleiadian system. And he was explaining, giving a lot of information. It's so detailed information that Billy Meier made a list of all the passings from the destroyer planet in the past. And he made a correction because our calendar is not exact calendar. We are based on the birth of Jesus Christ when he came from the first time. But there is some difference. First of all, Jesus Christ, it was not called Jesus Christ, it has a different name. And also, he didn't born in the time that we thought he born. So there are some differences on years, so Quetzal do that calculation based on the real time. And you will see specific passings of that comet. And they are connected with past events on Earth, something that is affecting the evolution of Earth. Also, there is a contact report 248, that's another one, later with Pat. Pat clarified some things, some aspects from the previous contact report. So something that Billy has some interpretation, like the big flood, the deluge that is in the Bible, is clarified here in this contact report. And this is a very interesting reading. I don't know, if you go to Billy Meier contact reports, you find so much information that you can reconstruct history from that. In some cases, you see different interpretations on the time, but it's a good piece of information. I suggest you just to read it in detail. You read it, and every time you read it again, you find new and new information. That's very interesting source of information. Okay, how is the destroyer planet? It has this diameter is 60% higher than the Earth, so it's a big planet. It's not a small object. It's not like a normal comet that is probably 10 kilometers wide or 3 kilometers wide. This is a big one. So this is a planet. It's more dense than the Earth. Yeah, because it's a bigger planet. What is logical is that it has more pressure on the core, and the density of that object is higher than planet Earth. Has a period that is been changing for the time from 400 years to 670 years. The average was 575.5 years, that's most of the time, but now it's more than 1,500 years. Why is more than that? Because the Pleiadian put it away from orbit. Otherwise, we will be still dealing with that visitor affecting our future. So they put it away. It will come back around the year 3000, probably after that. But something that is quite interesting is that the Pleiadians themselves, I mean extraterrestrial, that are probably 3,000, 10,000 years ahead of us, they are not really sure, or they don't know the origin of this object, because it's completely different. It's not like the planet. You know, a solar system, the equilibrium point is that all the planets just are located in different orbits, try to be circular orbits, maybe an ellipse, but not very elongated. But this one is so big, and his orbit was so different that they are really amazed about how this object is here, or was here. But they don't really know exactly where the origin of this object was, but they know that it's from the distant past. So I'm going to be referring to what is happening in previous passing of this object. In that contact report, you can read a lot of detailed information of key passings of this object close to Earth, or affecting somehow the Earth. But I put it here just only a few of them, probably no more than 5, that are very important, and I just pointed out here and highlighted them here. So actually the start date of this destroyer, the first time that he came to the solar system and become part of the solar system, was on the year, well, almost 1 million years ago, in a very distant past. Later, on the year 9792, something interesting happening. Okay, this object that goes in that orbit that is very long does a very quite interesting and dangerous effect. Is as soon as they cross the asteroid belt, because of the gravity, they just move all of those objects, some asteroids, small meteorites, and they are following it. So they change the orbit of the objects that are there. So everything that is close is affected. Imagine they're moving around, right now it's moving 30 kilometers per hour or something like that. So the Earth is very close to a small asteroid or very small object. The object changed its path immediately because of the big gravitational effect. So that is happening with the destroyer planet. So in this year, it's just passing through the asteroid belt and ripped 7 large asteroids. So 7 large asteroids from the asteroid belt just go behind it. And Billy Meier says in that contact report that it will affect the future of the Earth. And says probably by the year 2040, it will affect that one. We are talking about more than 20 years before, probably 30 years before. So he was saying that in the year 2040, there will be some kind of effect because of that. I think that not only the 7 large asteroids were pulled out or pulled out from the asteroid belt by this destroyer, there might be also small meteorites. So it's not only the 7 large asteroids, it's something else that is coming behind in a path, in an orbit that is affecting there. Actually, I found that in 2013, probably a few months apart of the Billy Meier prediction, 2 small asteroids passed by Earth, but one of them hit Russia. One of them was called Duende. Duende was one asteroid that most of the astronomers were watching that asteroid, and they were sure it was not going to hit Earth. It was a small one, 30 meters wide. It's a big rock, 30 meters wide. And they were assuring, oh, this is not going to hit there. But suddenly, something coming in the other direction was the asteroid that fell over Russia. And I have a video here. Let me see it. I will show it to you. That's what happened in February 15, 2013. You may remember these movies are very available on YouTube. You see that the bright object is coming there. It's falling down. Okay, they show in real time that explosion, but actually it happened a few minutes after that. So the shock wave, the sound, just arrived later on. So that was very dangerous about that, because everybody was going outside to see the nice clouds on the sky, to see what's going on, and then later, the sound wave came later and destroyed all the windows. That's another one. It's coming here. Maybe, yeah, you feel left some debris. And some pieces fall down. Most of that exploded, but some pieces fall down. It's important to see that because this is related with the Tunguska event. That is a similar one, but much bigger one. But this one was a little small. But in this case, everything fell down. Okay. So that's what I wanted to show you. Maybe you remember that on the news. Was an event that happened some time ago. Okay, later, a few 100 years later, the asteroids that were behind this destroyer, 6 of them fall in different areas on Earth, in different parts of different oceans. So it caused a lot of tsunamis, big tsunamis. So there was a big destruction at that time. Maybe there are no records of that. Well, maybe nobody's alive after that, so nobody to take records. Probably that's the reason. But can you imagine asteroids falling 6 almost at the same time with difference of hours in different areas, in different oceans, on different parts of the Earth. So big waves will be coming all around. So this was a very big destruction on Earth. It happened on almost 10,000 years ago. Another big event, very important one, is related with Uranus. What Billy Meier contact notes is telling us is that Venus was one satellite of Uranus. You say, what? A planet is a satellite of another planet? Yes. You go to Saturn, you see Titan. Titan is a big, let's say a small planet, but it's like a planet, bigger than planet Mars. So it's another planet, just moving around another one. So Venus was a big moon that was part of Uranus. So the destroyer planet, the size of Earth, so bigger than that, almost the same size, just go close to that system and put out of orbit planet Venus. If planet Venus was part of that system, how this rotation should be? The same as the original planet. So if Uranus was shifted somehow, and Venus is also shifted, so its rotation should be about the same, retrograde rotation. Okay, so Venus should be retrograde as well. So that could explain why Venus right now has a retrograde rotation. That could be one explanation, right? So it's put it out and put it in direction of the Earth's orbit. So that happened that later Venus got very close to Earth, and it was disturbing because of proximity, was causing volcanic eruptions, floods, and other kind of disasters. Right now, because of the tidal waves, or the tides from the moon, you see the ocean is always going up and going down after the moon pass. Sometimes 1 meter, in some places it's higher, but it's always going up and down. And we imagine that it's just the ocean. But the surface, the ground that you are on right now, is also moving up and down a few centimeters. So the Earth is always changing shape because of the moon effect of the tide effects from the moon. Imagine a big planet like the destroyer, bigger than the Earth, that get closer, what kind of tides will be causing? So the ocean will be just much more higher, and also the ground will be moving higher up and down. And that movement, or that kind of massage, or whatever you call it, on the Earth's surface was causing the release of a lot of earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. That's the reason. So that happened in this year, 6,100 before our age. So, and also the trajectory of Venus changes, so it was getting closer to normal orbit. On the time, he becomes another planet of the solar system. Just getting in an area that was an area of equilibrium where it is right now. This one is very interesting. It's happening in the 4613. If you read the contact notes, it's called the biblical deluge. gives the impression that Billy Meier, at the beginning, he thought that was the event that caused the deluge. So it was related with the Noah arcs and that myth that is also present in the Gilgamesh myth and in a lot of ancient documents or books or scriptures. So Billy thought that was that, but after that he noticed that was not the real biblical deluge, should be happening much more before that. So Pat later on clarified that. So Pat explained that the real Noah's Ark happened 100,000 years ago. He says, but a big comet on the contact nose. I assume it is the same destroyer comet. It's the only big one that was there, just causing a lot of problems on Earth. What happened is that there was somebody that is called Noah I don't know how to pronounce that. Noah Katnosa, whatever he is. He was living in an area close between Syria, Iran, Turkey, in that area, close to Ararat mountain. And he was a farmer. He was living with his family. And he had a very good friend from outer space. At that time, very long time ago, some extraterrestrials just came here, and they talk with the guys that are there, and they become good friends. And because those extraterrestrials are human like us, it was very easy for them having friends. Right now, this is forbidden on Earth, so not every extraterrestrial can go right now and say, hello, I am coming from the Pleiades system, or I'm coming from Alpha Centauri, or I'm coming from Vega system, or whatever. Right now, this is forbidden. But at this time, probably it was normal that an extraterrestrial was passing by and say hello to Noah Katnoser, and they become good friends. So the name was Sebalon, and the contact report doesn't clarify where he was coming from. We don't know if he was Pleiadian or from another system. What we know is was a human extraterrestrial. And he was a good friend of Noah, whatever his name was, and he told him about a possible future disaster because he knew that the destroyer comet was going to be closer to the Earth and causing a wave, a tide effects that will be so high, so strong, that will be causing a big flood. So he warned him, and he constructed with his family and good friends around, he constructed an ark following his instructions. And the ark was not set up or was not constructed to keep all the animals, one male and female from each species. That's impossible to put everything in one little boat. What he did, he just put his domestic animals. Yeah, he put cows or I don't know, whatever he was having, just because he wanted to continue later on, just reconstruct his farm with his domestic animals. So all of that became a legend after years and years. At that time, there were around 870 people, 870,000 people living in that area. I am surprised that so many just survived because the waves were probably a few kilometers high, just coming on Earth. So they stayed on the ark, and it was a space boat that as soon as the waters started coming, so the ark was floating on the waters, and finally arrived on the mountain called Ararat. Actually, Billy says on one of his contact notes that he was with Quetzal later on, and he just visited the place where the ark was there, below the ice. And he says it's not on the top of the mountain, but it's 30 kilometers away, but it's in that mountain. That's going to be interesting if somebody wants to go there and try to find it. I'm not sure how it's going to be an ark that is 100,000 years. Maybe it's on the ice. In the ice, it's preserved, but I'm not sure if it's possible to recognize it now. So the ark just after a few days, and when the water was going down again, after the big waves, or the rising of the oceans affect that area and killing around 600,000 people. So they just landed and they reconstruct everything, and from there, just a new civilization born with the normal difficulties of that time. So that's the story of the Noah's Ark. But what is surprising is that the story survived on the time. So the people have some remembering somehow that, and it's being written in different documents, not only on the Bible. But everyone just put the little flavor, yes, you know, the publicity, just to say, okay, this is my God, you have to believe it on that. So they do some changes on that. So that's what is being happening. So you can read the Gilgamesh myth, and you will see it, Gilgamesh, the superhero that was there, or you can read the Noah. So they say that God gave the instruction. Actually, it was an extraterrestrial, yeah, that was giving that instruction. That's the story behind the Noah's Ark. Another interesting event that is related with the 7 plagues of Egypt, and some modern scientists are discovering that, having a good explanation of that eruption, of that Santorini volcano that happened by the time of the Moses was in Egypt, and he was expecting to free all the Jews that was under the Pharaoh command. So it caused by the one passing of the destroyer. It happened in the year 1453 before our age. So because of that passing, you know, again, because of the tidal effect, caused that eruption of that Santorini mountain. And you know, imagine a volcano in the middle of the ocean, in the Mediterranean Sea. So in the eruptions, the chamber, the inner chamber, is just putting out all the lava, but at some point of time is somehow empty. So it's just collapse, and as happen in normal eruptions. But because the ocean is there, the ocean get into the chamber, because the chamber is very hot, just it's a big reaction, and a big tsunami is created. In this case, a tsunami of 180 meters height, affecting all the Mediterranean borders or seashores, and also the river, the Nile River, just go flooded and causing a big disaster. And you know, when there is a disaster, another disaster is coming behind that. So it's causing a lot of ecological disaster. So that was the cause of all the plagues of Egypt. So that was the year, and this is according to Billy Meier information. Okay, and the last pass of the destroyer happened recently, in the year 1680, not far away from now. A big comet just appears on the skies. It was so big or so bright that some people could see it at daylight. Have you seen comets? How many of you have seen a comet once? Just 1, 2, 3. Okay, it's something that you say, oh, that's it's just a little one. It's a little thing there, probably with binoculars, yes, far away, little ones, yes. But this one's so big that even if you use binoculars, you can see only one little piece of the comet. So you have to see it naked eye, and was visible during the day. It was the destroyer planet that was behaving like a comet. It was visible in Europe and all around the world. But in Europe, there is a lot of paintings like this one by Bersuger that was showing that very strange appearance. If you look at the scientific information about that, we know almost nothing about that. You see, it's not very clear when it's coming back. We don't know about the period. The astronomy at this time was not was a very primitive, not like right now. If we have a telescope like we have now, we could see that it's so big. It's like a planet just moving on the sky. So it would be completely different. But at this time, it was just Newton was watching it, and he was following the orbit, and he could, by following this comet, he was able to check the Kepler's law that talks about the way an object moves around the sun, and he confirmed the Kepler's law using this comet. As there's something, a very interesting anecdote about that is that actually there were two comets, the 1680 and the 6081. and Newton at the beginning was thinking that were two comets that came together. Well, later on somebody told you, hey, it's the same one. Just come here and come back again. So it's the same comet. So it was the same one. You just hear about the 1681 comet. It's the same comet, but sometimes was getting closer to the sun, disappearing behind the sun, and then appears again, going farther away from the solar system. Right now, it's so far away, and it's probably coming back in some 1,000 years from now. It's not affecting the Earth. Why is not affecting the Earth if it was affecting that before? Because the Pleiadian changed its orbit. They asked permission to do it, and they move it away. They were not authorized to destroy it. And try to destroy that one could be somehow difficult. How to do it? Put it in little pieces, probably is more dangerous. So they just move it, the orbit, and they receive authorization. You know, so it was changed. Why? Because probably the Earth, we didn't have the technology to do it to ourselves, so they give us a hand. But this is not happening right now with Apophis. Apophis, we can deal with it by ourselves, so they are not helping us now. We're going to see it later on. Okay, so that is about the destroyer comet. Any questions so far on destroyer comet?
The very fact that it was moved, like I used to take the old dates and count 575, 575, and I was coming all the way up to 2200
yes.
AD.
Yes.
And I was thinking, okay, it's not that far away. And then I read that it was moved.
It was moved.
And now the circle, we'll call it, is twice as big.
Yes.
It will take another 1,000.
Yeah.
So, when was it moved? Was that ever documented about? They got permission from the High Council.
Yes.
They moved it.
Yes.
Do you know when that was? When that happened?
Was around this year. Yeah, around this year. But I'm not sure it was. I was imagining that was around this year.
At the time it was coming around, they gave it a little extra push.
Yeah, the extra push. How they do that? Okay. Because they can, you know, their spaceships. You imagine a beam ship, a flying saucer, or whatever you call it. Their spaceships have one way to just change the gravity around. I mean, every spaceship is like a little planet, so you can just stop there and feel gravity because they change it inside the spaceship. So they create some kind of vacuum on gravity. I don't know how they do it, but inside you feel that you are like here with the gravity. I imagine that they have a dial. I want to weight more. I want to weight less. Oh, I am very fast, so I want to reduce 5 kilograms. Okay, just move the dial and reduce the gravity. Something like that could be done, right? So they do it, and on the external part is a completely different gravitational field. So they isolate somehow their time-space from the outside, inside. If they can do that, they can have a big spaceship and do the same, creating a gravitational vacuum that can move trajectories even of planets, okay? Also, for example, they have big ships, the Pleiadians have big ships, and if they are coming from the hyperspace, they are not allowed to stop very close to the solar system. They have to stop far away because the wave or gravitational wave that is coming behind the big spaceship is very dangerous. If they, for example, like the movies that you see that they go to hyperspace, it just appears here very close to a planet. That's not the reality. If they do that, they can destroy the planet or change the trajectory. Okay, probably that's the way they did it. Probably they changed the trajectory of this comet. When was that? I don't know. I don't see it in the contact reports. If you read it and find it, just let me know. But I haven't seen it. But I was assuming that it was at this time because it was the last passage of that comet. Probably just before that or after that. Okay, let's talk about the Tunguska event. Have you heard about that? All of you, have you heard about the Tunguska event?
So asteroids come to Earth and
destroy that part of the area. Okay, that's the Tunguska event. Okay, let's talk about what happened and then what the Billy Meier interpretation. Billy Meier is telling us what happened. That is a really interesting story and also somehow sad story. So let's talk about that. Tunguska event. Okay, in 1908, on June, in some reports said that was 30 of June, but other witnesses was 17th of June. I'm not sure why, even in Wikipedia you see the differences in all the documents. But let's say sometime in June, something fall down on Siberia area, close to the Tunguska River. So some people were there. Imagine I'm just here in my farm, and suddenly the sky just blow up like a big atomic explosion, and there it's so bright that I cannot see it. Later, I feel the vibration of the ground, like an earthquake, because it's the first wave that's coming. And a few minutes later, just the sound, the wave sound coming and destroy all the windows, and just giving me a big headache because of the big sound, you know? So that's what happened. So it happened in that area. Was so big that it created a 5.0 Richter scale earthquake that was measured around the world, like an earthquake. It's equivalent of explosion of 15 megatons atomic bomb. It's like the ones that the United States has, the biggest atomic bombs that they have, the fusion bombs that they have, it's around the same energy. Russia has one that is 50, is more energy than that one. But it's a big explosion. It's not like the one that we saw on the video. The one that we saw on the video was an object of 20 meters, probably like this one. But that one is 100 meters equivalent. So if it was an asteroid, it should be a 100-meter asteroid. So imagine 100 meters is like this block, the block that we are right now. So it was a big explosion. Something that is very curious is there are no deaths reported. Nobody died about that. I don't know, it was in a very isolated area, but there are not really confirmation of somebody died because of that. So for some reason, just fall down in a place that caused no damage to, at least not human deaths. I imagine a lot of animals there just dying.
I mean, animals.
Animals was killed, yeah.
A lot died.
A lot of animals, yeah, sure.
On an animal level.
Yeah, it should be, yeah. It's not something that, but it's a big disaster, yeah. Also something is that over the few days after that, on Europe, the sky was very bright. Some people say that they can even read at night, something because of the brightness of the sky. So there's something on the atmosphere that bright the sky. It was bright because there's probably a lot of dust or whatever on the high atmosphere, and the sun was illuminating it, and you see a very bright cloud on the sky, even if it was at night. So that's what happened. What else happened? You imagine that you just fall down, and some people went there just to see, oh, what is here? It was not possible. It's a very isolated area. Only on the 1921, so let's say some years later, some mineralogist, Leonid Kulik, convinced especially the militaries to go there. He said, oh, let's do an expedition to see what happened or what is there, just to find the meteorite that fall down there, because there should be a meteorite. He was probably thinking on the scientific point of view, his curiosity as a scientist, but he convinced the military by saying, okay, maybe there's a lot of iron, nickel, so we have a big mine of minerals there that we can use it. Imagine an asteroid, probably 20, 30 meters wide, so we can just extract that minerals to use it. So he convinced them, and they paid for the expedition. As soon as he arrived, what he found in that area, the area, Tunguska area, is right here in Siberia. Tunguska River could be somewhere here. So as soon as he arrived, he found no crater, nothing on the ground, just the trees totally bended. 80 million trees fall down. Something that is funny is that at the center, the trees was standing up, completely standing up. They were not just fall down from one side to another one. If you look at the pictures of an atomic bomb explosion after it happened on Hiroshima, you see there are buildings on the center that are standing up. What is happening? Because if the explosion happened on the atmosphere, not on the ground, the wave that is expanding just below the wave is not pushing from one side or another, it's just pushing downwards. So the trees there could be standing up. Probably losing all of the trees, but standing up. But the one that is on the side, they will fall down, completely fall down. So he couldn't find any crater. He couldn't find any little pieces of rocks or coming from the sky, nothing there. So it was a big mystery. He was assuming that because he saw some little holes everywhere, he thought that were probably particles of that asteroid that disintegrated and fell down there, but not particles or pieces of the original rock that fell down had been found yet. What is being found is a little pieces of metal, iron, nickel, and different metals just encrusted on the trees. Like a little pieces just of the explosion just contaminated the trees, but nothing, not a big pieces. No big rocks. And you say, why is happening? You saw the one that I showed you in the video. Some rocks just fell down. So if it's a bigger one, a bigger rock should be there. You see the shooting star are little small fragments that are falling down to earth, and they burn and they never fell down. But a bigger rock, even if it's burning, something is hitting the ground. So you should find something. That's a recent photograph of that area. For any reason, whatever reason, no trees has grown again in that area so far. So it's empty. Scientists don't know why. But for any reason, nothing is growing here. You see? No trees. Okay, that's the center of the explosion. But nothing there. It's a big area, 80 million trees, and many things. Oh, that's quite strange, right? You see, where is the asteroid? So some scientists are giving different hypotheses. You see it even in the Carl Sagan series, Cosmos. He is giving a hypothesis that was a comet. The hypotheses are, first one, an asteroid, because they're metallic samples, little pieces, not fragments, probably little pieces like sand or dust on the trees with metallic samples. So some scientists say it was something solid that has iron and nickel that fall down and is there. But other people say, wait a minute. There is no rocks, there is not an impact area, there is not a crater. If it was an asteroid, should be somewhere there, at least the crater. If it's exploded and just vaporized, the impact with the ground should be there, but it's not there. Another explanation, like the Carl Sagan, as I told you, that was a comet, because there are no craters. Doing computer simulation, you can put a comet that is only, let's say, water, ice falling down. It's just vaporized before just hitting the ground and explode because of that heat and that. But some others say, no, it's not possible because what the witness says and what was visible there is that whatever just fall down explode at 10 kilometers height, not very high. It was a comet, should be the explosion much higher, not even getting very close to the ground. So it was vaporized just very high away. So they say it's not possible to be a comet. So there's a lot of discussion about that from scientists, giving different explanations. Another scientist said, okay, actually it was an asteroid, and explored, yes, but the big part just fall down and create the Lake Checo that is not there, but is 6 kilometers away, because the asteroid was coming in a very steep direction, explored, and then the rock just fell down there and make the Lake Checo. For some time, some people believe it was a very interesting or logical explanation, but recently, you see recent studies, and you have found that the Lake Checo is more than 300 years old, just by looking at the sedimentaries on that. So sometimes they say, that lake existed before the explosion, so it could not be that the explanation. So that one is not logical. So what was that? So you start to see different explanation. Oh, it was a methane explosion. You know, that is an area that there is permafrost, so once in a while it's just melting, a lot of methane just going up of the ground, so it was a lot of methane on there, and suddenly, for some reason, it's exploded and make a big explosion. Okay, but it's not happening so often, right? It's just the first time. And why some witnesses say that's something falling from the sky. The methane is not falling from the sky. It would be just an explosion very close to the ground. So that one is not very logical. Another explanation, antimatter. Okay, just a piece of antimatter getting to the Earth atmosphere, and as soon as just interact with the matter, just explode. That's a quite interesting explanation, but some says, okay, but why don't explore it up there on the higher atmosphere? Because it's just interacting with matter up there, not just in the ground. So that's not very logical. Some people say, oh, what's a nuclear explosion? Somebody playing with a nuclear device, just the Russians were doing that. At that time, there were no technology for creating a nuclear device, so it's not possible. And the last explanation, it was a UFO crash. That's Roswell. Some guys just driving a spaceship, they were so stupid that they just crashed the ship. But why that explosion? Oh, because probably the engine was a fusion reaction that just exploded because they were stupid and they crashed it, like the Roswell that happened before. So different explanation. Okay, but whatever was, any of those are very good explanation what happened. But if you read the reports, and you can find it in Wikipedia, a lot of them, that one is very interesting. I saw it. First of all, it says 17th of June, not 30th of June. And there's another report that says 17th of June. So it's not very clear when was the real date. But let's suppose that was on 17th of June. But something that some people said in a newspaper, the reports of people, they say that was a bluish-white heavenly body which for 10 minutes moved downwards. 10 minutes falling down. How long it took the asteroid that I showed you in the video at the beginning? How many minutes took fall down? Seconds. Just a few seconds, 20 seconds, 10 seconds. Imagine something just falling down. The speed of those objects, if they're coming from outer space, is between 10 and 30 kilometers per hour. That's moving very fast. The atmosphere is 80 kilometers. So in 2 seconds, let's say 10 seconds, most 20 seconds, just fell down. But something moving for 10 minutes on the sky is not a falling rock. It's not a comet. It's not an asteroid. It's nothing else. And also, they say, oh yes, it was like a pipe, like a cylinder falling down. So probably the UFO theory is correct. The stupid guy just driving a UFO just fall down and destroyed on the ground. But was that very interesting, that report. So that gives more information, but also drive us to think in different theories, right? So let's say what Billy Meier says about that. The explanation is quite interesting as well and quite somehow incredible. You will see it, but it's logical, totally logical. What happened? In the contact report, 528 on July 10. Pardon? You born on that?
You said 528.
Ah, yeah, sorry. 428. Okay, July 10, Billy was talking with Pat, and he explained the Tunguska event. Before that, he was talking with Asket. Asket gave us also some information about that, and you find it in different contact reports, information about that. But in this contact report, if you read it, gives precise information of what happened. And you are thinking, what those guys are doing there? I'm going to tell you. Okay, Bardans, that looks like Mongolian, is an ET race that they were forbidden to come into the Earth. They came before, and when they came back to the planet, they caused a lot of confusion there. So there was a prohibition that say, oh, nobody is allowed to visit Earth anymore. You cannot go there. It's prohibited. It's a law. But they came. And they came, and they, with a big spaceship, they get into the Earth without taking care of the prohibition to get into Earth. And they landed their spaceship. I use this photograph. I don't know what is this about. It looks like a mothership. I'm not sure if it's real or not, or probably it's a fake image, but I put it as a, for just to put something on my slide. Yeah. So just imagine that is there, okay? So it's a spaceship that they landed. Pat said that maybe they choose that area because they look like Mongolian. Their race is very similar like Mongolian. So he says if they landed there and somebody saw them, they will imagine that it's a normal guy, no somebody that is coming from outer space. But something happened is that their spaceship has some technical damage. So they decided to hide it in Tunguska area because it's somehow isolated, nobody could be seeing them, so they stayed there. And imagine with the spaceship just landed somewhere in Tunguska and they just get bored, what we do now, fixing our spaceship, so they couldn't go out. So some of them just went to nearby towns and they get engaged with the people there. And imagine some of them has a girlfriend from the nearest downtown, but there's something that they should be not doing. They were having sexual relationships with the people around, and they were contaminated with syphilis. And they are not used to receive that kind of contamination, and when they get back to the spaceship, they contaminate the other one. At the end, they get all very sick. And also, I think there is another kind of sickness that is not mentioned in the contact reports. I imagine there was some kind of psychic contamination. Not only the physical body, also the psyche is contaminated because they're very close to different cultures. There's something interesting anecdote in the place I'm coming from, Colombia. There's a group of people that are ancient tribes, people that are Indians or ancient people, that live in an area and they consider themselves the big brothers. They think that they are very smart and they know how the universe works. And they consider us like the little brothers that we don't know how the universe works or the nature works. So they consider very evolved, but they don't have technology. It's just normal guys living on their little parcels. But they are isolated from the outside world. And if somebody goes outside from the tribe, from the town, to the civilization, and then come back, they put him in quarantine because they feel something different on that person. He's contaminated. His psyche is contaminated with probably different ideas, different energy. I don't know why they feel, but they don't like that guy there. So they put it on quarantine until he behaves normal. So probably that's what has happened with them. Not only the physical contamination, probably some psychic contamination. So what happened to them? The authorities on their planet told them, you were forbidden to go there. If you come back, you will be contaminating everybody. So it's your problem. Just solve it. But we are not going to help you. That's some kind of sad story. Just, that guys just landed here with nobody just helping them. So what they decided to do, they were desperate because they were dying every day. So they decided to kill themselves. So they commit massive suicide. So all of them just get into the spaceship, just put the spaceship that could fly around but could not go outside of atmosphere, not even do an interstellar travel. So they put it very high and they just construct or enable a nuclear device inside the ship and they destroy it completely because they didn't want to have or left any pieces or any clues that they were here. So they say, okay, we just make a lot of disaster. We are changing something here on the culture of the people that is around. Maybe somebody was saying, oh, I come from outer space. I'm not sure if that his girlfriend just trusts that stories, but somehow they're contaminating that area with their just only by their presence. So they want to destroy everything. So they put a nuclear device. So they put the spaceship very high and just go it downward and make it explode in an area that will not kill anybody, not causing a lot of damage. So that's why they did. That's what you find in this contact report, and very interesting explanation. Also, as I told you, it's very sad because it's sad that guys that are very advanced came here, get contaminated, and decide to kill themselves because they cannot find any other solution. So that's an interesting explanation on the Tunguska event. Okay, any question on Tunguska before we move to the last piece, that is Apophis? You say,
I have a main question. For example, why they don't have the technology to, I don't know, change the bodies and minds, something like that?
with technology helping them?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good question. because we see it from our point of view, with what we know. We say it's very sad that they kill themselves. But imagine that those extraterrestrials are very advanced spiritually, and they know that they live different lives. So they say, okay, it's not a problem for me to die now. I will be born as a little baby, probably in this planet on Earth. But it's a new opportunity for me. It's the best way to do it. Probably they don't see the way that we see it. But yes, why not somebody help them? Why the Pleiadian didn't help them? The Pleiadian is telling in the contact report that they were able to help them, but they have a prohibition to help them. Because if they try to get in contact with them or help them, they will be contaminated as well. So they say, no, they just get into that trouble. We are not going to interfere with their decision. Sometimes it sounds very hard, yeah, I know. It's very difficult to say that extraterrestrial that very advanced is not have the mercy to help somebody else. But remember that if somebody has the mercy to help somebody else, it's also forbidden or not letting that person or that being to learn from his own mistakes. So the law of cause and effects that is sometimes very hard, just forbid some or give some forbidden the extraterrestrial to interfere and try to solve the problem of somebody else. So that's why they did. They say, no, we cannot interact with them. Right now, the Bardans people, they were not part of the Space Confederation. Right now, they're part of the Space Confederation, so they're more in close contact with the Pleiadians. At that time, they were just an isolated group. And they came from the Coma system. This is in a galaxy that is 400 million years away. It's a big place. Peter, you have a question?
Yeah, well, just a comment. The nodules that were found, they're called tektites. They're little tiny spherical. It shows that they were molten at one time and then solidified without instantaneously.
Because the big hit, yeah. Oh, interesting. So they were melting because of probably the explosion that melted them, and they found it.
Yeah, they solidified tektites. They're called. They're really small.
A small one.
They look like little tiny ball bearings.
Little balls that were melted and just put it away. Yeah, yeah. And it sounds very logical. That explosion just melt the whole chip and just throw it everywhere. And that's the reason why no pieces of asteroid had been found. All right. Thank you.
So what galaxy did you say they came from, or was they?
The what?
The galaxy.
The galaxy is in a Coma system. It's a cluster of galaxies, probably 100 galaxies altogether. Imagine a place with 100 galaxies like the Milky Way. Just the Milky Way has 400,000 million stars. Imagine 100 times that. Is the Coma system. Coma, C-O-M-A, is a constellation in the sky. Because that cluster of galaxies is there, is 400 million light years away. The near one galaxy that is close to us is the Andromeda galaxy. That is at 1 million years. That one is 400 times that one. So they came from very far away. When you travel in space-time and you jump into the space, probably it's going to take just a little bit longer a trip from there. Yeah. But it's far away, yeah. All right, let's move to Apophis, right? Okay, Apophis. Apophis is an asteroid that is 350 meters wide. So it's bigger, right? So what is the story of Apophis? Apophis is an asteroid that was discovered in 2004 by the astronomers. And this is the orbit, the one that is here in white. You see the blue line is the Earth orbit. That one is Venus, and this one is Mercury. So the orbit of this asteroid cross in 2 points here and here, cross the orbit of Earth. But here is the closest approach, because here is above or below the crossing line of the Earth, the path of the Earth, the plane of the Earth. But here is very close. So imagine that it's making circles like this one, less than 1 year it circles, once in a while, the Earth is moving also in the same direction, but they get together. And that's going to be happening on April 13, 2019, or April 13, 2036, April 12 to 2068. So, and so much. Oh, sorry about, I saw misspelled, yeah. It's 29, not 19. Yes, 29. You're saying, oh, is this year? Oh, my goodness, it's tomorrow. Sorry about that. Thank you, Michael. I will fix it on my presentation. I did it on purpose, just to see if you are paying attention, you know? If you were scared about the future, if passing all day. Okay, 2029. Okay. Ah, thank God, we have 10 years. Okay, thank you, Mike. Okay, 2029, sorry about that. Yeah, it's coming on 2029. This is a very nice simulation, theskylive.com. You can go there and you find Apophis, one of the objects, and you simulate orbits and you can see it, how close it is. And you can just twist the solar system and see it from different angles to see the distance between the asteroid and the Earth. How close it will be? Okay, let's imagine that this is the Earth. This line is the geostationary orbit satellites. So the satellites that are in that band are the geostationary. That means that they move around in one day, and they move around its own axis one day. So they're always on the same direction relative to the Earth's surface. So these are geostationary. Geostationary.
Gotcha.
Sorry, my English sometimes is not true. Okay. So geostationary orbits from Earth is 34,000 kilometers high, around that. So this is the path of Apophis on 2021. Here is okay. Okay, 21. So it's very close, right? Okay, so it's closing here. But what happens if the next orbit, this is changed a little bit? Probably crossing here, or will hit the Earth. Okay. So this one is a recent computer simulation of how Apophis it looks like. This is done with a computer program. What the system does is measure the brightness variation of the object, so it can know what is the period of rotation. And because of brightness variation, if we assume all the surface has the same albedo, or the same reflectance, or the same color, let's say. So it gives a model, three-dimensional model, of how it looks like. So it's very similar like this one. Probably it's a little bit different, but it's a good approximation of the real shape of that asteroid. Something that you find very, very interesting is that at the beginning, the astronomers were saying that this asteroid was only 250 meters. Right now, they're 370. But the contact note from Billy Meier from the beginning is saying that 350. And those contact notes are 20 years before the discovery of the asteroid. So there is unwritten information that an asteroid was coming and will be affecting on Earth in future before the discovery of this asteroid. Okay, so that's going to happen in 2020. Okay, so what's going to happen here in the 2010 it passed by? It's coming very close to Earth, so any little variations here, or any little variation from objects around, I mean other asteroids, other planets, or other systems that make a pull on this asteroid orbits, even the solar wind that is on the surface of this asteroid, and because of the shape, could change or make a little variation of the orbit. Is that object cross here, but cross a little bit to the left or to the right, that little variation can cause a change on the orbit on the asteroid that the next pass on 2036 can hit the Earth. If you see NASA studies, they say, oh no, it's not possible that it's hitting there. But the Russians are thinking that there is a probability that it will happen. So Russia has a program to destroy asteroids, and they are considering the threat of Apophis, more seriously, or they think that could happen, especially because the hit area is close to them. This is the size of the asteroid compared. This is Apophis. Actually, it's not a very big. This is the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs. So if we receive an impact of this object, it will kill 90 to 90% of all the living creatures on Earth. So it will cause a big disaster. It was what had happened with 65 million years ago with the asteroid extinction, an asteroid of this size. So this is for comparison, Apophis. Yeah? And the little rock that fall down into Russia, the one that you see it, is probably half of the size of the dot on the I letter here in the Apophis sign. So half of that one is the little rock that fall down on Russia, the first video that you saw. So this different size make a different reaction. What happens if Apophis hits Earth at some point of time? What you see here is something that I did with a simulator that is available in internet. In internet, you can go and say asteroid hits or something, and you find a nice tool. It's a program that you can put different parameters, and it gives you information on how big the crater would be, how strong the earthquake will be, and how many megatons of energy will be released. You give information about if it's a solid rock, or if it's a comet, if it's falling down into a solid rock or a continent, or if it's falling down in an ocean. So you can see, for example, if an asteroid hit the ocean, the tsunami of the wave, how high it will be. So very interesting tool that is there. I don't remember exactly the web page, but you can find it very easily in Google. It's a simulator, or I can give you that information later on. So I did some calculations. Because of the size of Apophis, the normal speed that they have is 30 kilometers per hour. So the energy that it caused that explosion will create a 7.1 Richter scale earthquake. So it's a big earthquake. And this is the crater. Not like the Tunguska, that's not crater. But this one has a crater that's 7 kilometers wide and 530 meters deep. It will cause a lot of devastation. On Billy Meier contact reports, on the 150 and 475, the first one with Quetzal, the other one with Pat, he's talking about Apophis. See the date, 981. So Apophis was mentioned here, not with the name Apophis, they call it the red meteor red. I'm not sure why they call it red. Would be very interesting to see photos of Apophis. Probably the surface is red, or is because of the Torino scale? What?
They call it red. I still have not tracked down, but I have read that they explained to Billy that red means that it is going to hit. Or means that it's going to be close.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's related that it's a red alert. Be careful with that one. It's okay. Red alert is something that we have to consider. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
The other possibility too is that the red is like in a nuclear explosion, you have the hottest zone, and then you have the next hottest zone and the next hottest zone. So in other words, if you were living in the yellow area, you may have evaporated.
Yeah. So this is the red area. Probably it's about that. Okay. Well, for some reason they call it the red meteor, but it's because of that, because it's dangerous. Yeah. You see there is a Torino scale. It gives the probability of impact of different objects and put also some colors. The green one is the one, an asteroid that will not hit the Earth. Yellow is that some probability, but red is that for sure is going to hit the Earth. Probably related with that one because it's in the red section of the Torino scale. It's some kind of scale for probabilities of asteroids hitting the Earth. Okay, anyway, a possible impact area, they say that will be somewhere in Europe, in that area between the Black Sea and the North Sea, in that band. They are saying that this is not a prediction, this is a prophecy. That means that it's not 100% sure that it's going to hit Earth. They say that depends on different things. I don't know what different things could be. But they say that it's important to do something about that because there is some probability that will affect us. right? So we'll hit that area. There's different ways to, with our current technology, we don't have the beam ships or the UFOs with the creating a gravitational vacuum or something to move objects. So we have to do something more primitive. But one way to do it is to put a reflecting surface in one area of the asteroid. Let's imagine the asteroid is like a rock that is rotating. What happens, and has some poles, the North Pole and South Pole, or whatever you want to call them. So in the rotation axis on one extreme and another one. If you put, for example, in the top part, a reflecting material, as soon as it's receiving the sun, the pull or the pressure of the sun is different there than in the rest of the surface. So it's doing some kind of different pulling or pushing on the asteroid, and it can be computed and just analyzed and put it, that little piece there. So it's like the movie Armageddon. Have you seen that the movie Armageddon? That the guy just landed in a comet, and they re-drill it and put atomic bombs and destroy it. Okay, that's a bad idea. We shouldn't do that. Because if we blow it up in different pieces, we are sure that some of them will hit Earth. And so we're going to make it more damage by doing that. So it's better just to deviate it from the current orbit. So one way to do it is like this one, right? Another way is to put in a solar sail, some kind of reflecting material, just somehow tie it or just pulling the asteroid away. So that sail is just pulling up. But this has a big complication if the asteroid is rotating as it is. So imagine just cord just moving around, just entangled, just hang around. So the sail just stop there somewhere entangled and doing the results that we don't want it. So the best option, and is the one that is recommended by the Pleiadian, is to make an atomic explosion close to the asteroid. Not very close to destroy it, not far away to not causing any effect. So somehow close, the explosion make up an expansion of a wave expansion, so it will pull the asteroid and move it away. That's something that we can do right now. You see, the Japanese technology, even the Japanese technology, they have the technology today. They have a little rocket and little sun. They can land it in asteroids. They did it. The Americans right now have another one, asteroid Bennu. They will be taking samples from that asteroid and put it back to Earth. So it's not difficult to do it. We are able to do it. That's the reason why the Pleiadians are not helping us this time. Because they say, you can solve it, you solve it, do it. So we have to do it. The problem is working together, yeah. If we just start saying, no. And somebody, I told you it wasn't to hit there. Yeah, but I don't trust you. But it's too late, whatever. So we have to be working together on that. And international collaboration is required. Okay, so the way to deviate it, so is by creating an atomic explosion. Let's say, for example, on 2029, when it's crossing that very close to the geostationary orbit, it's very simple to have some kind of satellite here with an atomic bomb. As soon as it gets closer, just explode it and just deviate the orbit. That's one possibility. There should be more than that possibilities. So it's not difficult to do it. Okay, so just to a conclusion of everything is that we are used to live in an environment that is somehow the same every day. We are in the same routine. Everything is under control. But we know that from space could come something. So we have to be always monitoring what is that out there. Currently, there are some monitoring system, scientists looking at the sky, just looking for nearby asteroids, just to have a defense system in the future. But we are very primitive, but we need to start working on that. That something from there can affect us. And it's not a punishment from the sky, it's just a normal event that's happening in planets like ours, because we are living in a place that there's a lot of asteroids for the destruction of Malona planet long time ago or whatever. But we have to be careful with that. Okay, so that's all my presentation. Thank you. Okay.